I have a young entrepreneur, Thomas Hoffmann, founder and CEO of Colorado Campworks. Welcome to the Playbook, Thomas.
Thank you for having me, David.
You know, it's so incredible because I've done my due diligence on you. When you have a younger entrepreneur, you know, it's a little bit easier in the respect that there's not like 16 million awards, 18 different jobs that are listed out.
Yeah.
But I'm always curious to start with, you went to college.
Yeah.
Which is always the first question of a young entrepreneur. What is your opinion of college today? And do you find that your experience at Boulder has assisted you in building this company? Or do you find there could have been a cheaper, less time restricted way of meeting your objectives?
Oh man, that's a great question. So yeah, I studied at CU Boulder, EMVD, environmental design. And that program was really specifically catered towards like giving design communication skills, right? So it was an architecture undergraduate, but it was really like, how do you communicate what your ideas are and the vision you have? How do you build that and build a system? So I was really grateful for the school that I went to, but about my sophomore year, I was ready to be done with it. I didn't actually, school was not for me. And I was going to move into a van and go travel around. So I didn't assign myself for any classes, and I hopped in a van that I built out, traveled the entire West Coast, similar to the trip that we're on right now, and kind of got 2 months into it and was like, all right, actually, I want to redesign this. This is what I should design. So how can I design something that's better? How can I communicate to people that this is a cool, worthwhile lifestyle? So it was kind of twofold. Definitely learned some great skills at school, but I was trying to run away and go do something on the road and not do it. And a lot of my success, I think, right here so far has been hands-on skill and building. So I took the opportunity after school to go back and do an apprenticeship. So I think it's a mixed bag, but if you're ready to learn, I think you can learn in any environment. So definitely, I mean, CU was a great place for it though.
Yeah. And then, you know, that real life application to some of the stimuli that you learn. I always say, you know, school can plant seeds under trees that they may never sit under, because it gets you into a line of thinking or a vision of what you want. And you have some skills at least to fall back on. Now, there's always that jump. Number one, what were your parents, what were their thoughts on your, you know, first venture and becoming an entrepreneur?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think it grows for us. It grew out of a garage, and it just was like this thing that kept building and kept building. And it was a vision when I converted the van the first time, and then I went back and I came back to school. It's just, it kind of has continued on and on. I ended up building the first camper as a senior project at CU EMVD. So it was actually like, hey, can I take this on as my project for a 3 credit hour course? And it's like a crazy undertaking.
What grade did you get?
Oh my goodness. I think I only got a 92 or something.
That's pretty good though.
Well, it's not, but I didn't, I think.
You ever hear the Rubio story? Like, I think he got a D or an F on his fish taco, you know, one of the most successful franchises at San Diego State. He was in the business class. And so many guys have developed business ideas in schools, and the professors have given them C's, D's, and F's, and they end up being multi-billion-dollar companies.
That's like a badge of honor. I wish I should go back. I'm like, I wanted my C or my D. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, exactly. But no, it was it was like, I think I didn't turn in a few of the pieces. I'm like, I turned in an entire camper.
Yeah,
seems like that should have been enough. But oh my goodness, it was great. I mean, they encouraged me on. I also tried to do a book called the Nomad Manifesto during that time. So I was like, I'm going to write this up. And then I kind of got into it, and it was like that story of travel is like really going to be told by everybody else in our current climate. Like, everybody's traveling around more. There's so many people who want to go be content creators. And it's like, I wanted to write it. And then I realized, like, really I should give people a tool to go be a nomad, and then let them write it themselves. So it's kind of become this project of, over the next few years, kind of highlight what they're doing and the adventures they're on.
One of the other things, Thomas, you know, there's a million great ideas, and I, you know, have 3 daughters close to your age. They have a million great ideas, and yet a lot of the ideas will never come to fruition. A lot of times we pass up ideas that we had. You know, I'm Chief Chancellor of Junior Achievement University worldwide now. We give a Junior Achievement Impact Award on the 2-minute drill. But I had a great idea when I was young, and it was to put a banana split in an ice cream cone. So I had developed this giant ice cream cone to put a banana split in. And so every time I see waffle cones today, I'm like, dude, I had that idea. Not quite as environmentally friendly, but definitely a delicious idea. But there is a difference somewhere between people like yourselves that are dreamers, are innovators, but also can actually materialize it into a business, which is a whole different skill set. How long did it take you from your senior project, which you obviously had a vision of a business, to actually create a business?
So after college, I wanted to take it to be the business right out of school. I was going to take this camper and go for it. And I skied too much. And I was like, not working.
Age gets in your way one way or another. Always.
So, I mean, it was fun, but and so that was 2017, had the ideas of it, had started it, and at the name, I don't even remember the name of the company at that point, but it failed after about 3 months, and I was like, I need a job, I have bills to pay, I got to go do this. But at that time I went to Earth Roamer, which was like this really high-end luxury camper RV, and just was like, I'm going to learn more about this then. And then I got the inspiration again. I was like, I need to give that another try. And I think there's like kind of this immobilizing piece, I think, to a lot of people, is there's a fear to go start it. Or like, if I put everything into this and I don't have success, I think that's one of those pieces. But when you switch that mindset and you start to have like, I intend for this to happen, because that's what should happen, then it really quickly changes. So you take that risk on. And I remember it started as like maxing out credit cards and being like, I'm going to just invest everything I possibly can into this, and then getting the loans that I could, and just keep on going, right? And when you find another hurdle, you just have that mindset of like, I guess this is the path that I'm supposed to be on, because it's not supposed to be easy. How do I build something great? You just keep taking every opportunity to grow and grow and grow, and find a way. And I think that's probably the biggest piece, though, is just finding a way to have clarity of what you're doing, then you go chase it.
And I wish I could bottle that philosophy, because so many entrepreneurs, I would say 99% of them that I meet, they quit before they're 25% of the way there, because they listen to the voices in your head when you take out another credit card or another loan. They listen to what's missing for the day. They listen to the parents, friends, families, the people that are supposed to be caring about us. And they do, because they want security and stability. And they think they're helping us by giving us ideas of security, stability, which are not aligned, by the way, with owning your own business, starting your own business, and having overhead and employees. But what do you think was your strongest discipline, not to listen to everything and everyone else, but to continue just to go deeper and deeper into the venture to get there?
So for me, it always comes back to just the product. Like, there's another problem to solve out there. And so when I look around, I'm like, how can I solve that one? And that's what drives me, I think, is that there's another thing that we can go look at, find a better solution to. Just that idea of like that the whole process, I think there's a good amount of clarity to it. When you say that about make responsible decisions, I'm thinking about my mom telling me like, hey, no, don't, what are you doing? This is a bad financial decision. I'm like, I think it's the best financial decision, if I'm being 100% honest with you. But just that idea that like the vision is always really clear, and what we're making is this object to get you outdoors and experience, more of the nature rather than more of your phone. And it's always like, there's just so much drive. I feel like there's so much that people need this product. So it's like kind of on me to help them have access to this environment and be able to go and do it. So that always keeps me focused and driven on it, I think.
I really love my family, because when, I wanted to drop out of law school and I had to take loans, they're like, if you're not going to invest in yourself, what are you ever going to invest in? Then I wanted to be an entrepreneur in the internet. And they were like, the internet's a fad. You don't invest. I'm like, wait, you just told me to go into debt so I could do something like this. Now it's not okay to go into debt to do something like this. I'm completely confused. Now, you evolved into having the Nomad NS-1.
Yep.
And what I love about the Nomad NS-1 is it's aligned with a book that I wrote called Compassionate Capitalism, which I gave you, which is an inspiration for entrepreneurs to think a little bit deeper. It's not just good enough to provide value, but to provide impact with value is what I try to empower and inspire young entrepreneurs like yourself to do, to think a little bit deeper and say, not only is this super cool to be a nomad and have a killer camper, but I don't have to destroy the universe. I don't have to create interferences, voids, and shortages for other people. I don't have to live in a scarce world. I can actually create an abundant world and a healthy, environmentally safe world, or whatever it may be. Where did that perspective come from? Because it's obvious in your entrepreneurial journey that you have a bigger vision for what you do than just, creating a camper.
That's a great question as well, man. I think of the was Jimmy Carter, who was like, put on a sweater if you're cold, right? Trying to save the energy and have a solution to that crisis. And it was, no one wants to put on a sweater, right? And I think it's like as simple as that to some degree, is that if we're going to train and teach people how to be environmentally friendly, we got to be able to offer them like all the luxuries and all the fun they want. So it's like, I'm not trying to tell you to go out and put on a sweater and be cold in the camper, but at the same time, we've done everything we can so you have like a luxury experience so that it's all there. So you're making the margaritas on the side, or you're enjoying life. You're really living it. And it's not about that. It's about living in that abundance, right? It's like there's a lot here. We just got to reshift it. So we're not saying that you should have in the long term, like that it should be a luxury product. But if it's all you had, I always say it this way, is if it's all you had, it'd be everything you needed. And if it's something you have that's extra, then hopefully it encourages you to have that mindset and step outside a little bit more and interact with things in a different way. So,
and you obviously have the innovation, design, and entrepreneurship side of Desire down. But one of the other interesting aspects as I look at what you're doing is you've learned to operate a business. I always joke around, but if you don't like an entrepreneur, it's a great way to tell him you don't like him, is to say, hey man, Thomas, I just want you to be so successful. May you have tons of employees and tons of overhead. And like Thomas leaves my studio going, oh, Dave Meltzer loved me. He wished me to grow my business so I have tons of employees and overhead. And then 10 years later, he comes back. He's like, dude, you hate me. You curse me. Employees and overhead are not easy things to deal with. And they don't teach you about them in school. They're not something that comes through you through a creative genius of expression like your camper in innovative ideas. There's actually an emotional intelligence and intellectual intelligence and adaptable intelligence to motivate and inspire those people to have common goals in a culture. What have you learned about building a common culture at your company?
That's a great, the piece for me, I think I've said it's a great every single answer.
That's okay. It is great.
That's a great question though.
My brother's a Harvard graduate, and he's a famous rabbi, and I'm always amazed because he must say like amazing 16 times during his thing. I always give him crap, but if you got a good word, great, man, use it. We're cool.
Stop asking great questions and I'll stop using it. I mean,
that's better than you saying that's a shitty question. Yeah, I'd rather you call everything great. We're cool.
Skip that one. Give me a better one.
See, you learned the real deal here on the Playbook. That's what I'm talking about. All right.
No, man, my favorite.
See, look, Thomas learned to break the fourth wall in his very first interview with me. How cool is that? See, fourth wall, we broke you. All right, let's get back to the interview. Very cool.
The piece for me, I grew up playing soccer. That was my sport, and I had, I loved playing it. Was pretty decent player, but wanted to go into after high school. I went back into coaching right away. So I didn't keep playing. I went into coaching, and in that, you talk about culture and how you create and inspire people is over the time, one of my biggest inspirations is actually Jurgen Klopp and the way he talks to his team out there in Liverpool and back before in Borussia Dortmund and all these places. It's he's out there and he is their best friend, but he's also their leader and their mentor. And he's inspiring to these people as well. I've never heard any player talk negatively of this person. And to me, it's not so much about the tactics of, hey, well, here's our schedule for us in our company, right? It's not necessarily about that so much as making sure that once you come in and you work, you see the vision and you're inspired. And it's to me, it's always about giving them the mindset of this is an opportunity if you take it too, right? Because it's not going to be successful if we're trying to grow my vision. It has to be something that you have vision and you have passion to pursue too. So when somebody comes in, I remember one of our intro days, come in, you're going to learn how to do this. First thing I walk in, I say let's go on a walk. We're going on a walk. We have a beautiful facility with all these trails right out the door. And it's wait, I thought we were supposed to get to work. And it's well, if you come in on the first day and I give you a stack of assignments and you're I got to hammer this all out, you're starting off from an environment of stress. You're starting off in an environment where you're not going to be happy or empowered to do your best work. So it's always about bringing in teammates that want to do it with you and having that mindset of what can we create together? So I've been so lucky because when I bring people in, I brought in Clayton and it was instantly how can I contribute to this vision and what's my vision? And he talked so much about manifesting your ideas and bringing that into the company. He brings that in and suddenly everything starts to take off in a different way, right? I mean, something that I had been intentional about, this is what I want to do, but it gets that little click when you put a name to it and you have that idea of wait, we are actually speaking this into existence. We set our goal and we're going to go do this. And so he brought that mindset in. So that's Clayton Ziegler. He's our COO and he's been fantastic. We have a partner, Christian Renee, who worked through Wonder Institute early, and she's got a biodiesel product and is doing these amazing things, has run Rebel Rally and all these cool races. And her and Rio O'Donnell came up with a biodiesel. And it's together, what can we create is going to be so much more important than what one person's vision ever is. And so when you're building a team, it's all about like, here's our vision, here's our success. If you want to show up to a training session and you want to get 90% out of it, we're going to play 90% of the season. If you want to show up and you want to put 100% effort in and you care about this too, you're going to even put in extra work after a training session. You're going to be able to have that mindset translate into a company. It's the same culture. It's the same idea.
Well, you definitely are an old soul as a young entrepreneur. I could absolutely, not consciously, but unconsciously manifest what I wanted. I knew what I paid attention to and gave intention to created these coincidences. Yeah. But it wasn't until later in my career that I learned to create a collective consciousness through open-minded and like-mindedness to create and allow people to share in a vision and how to hold that energy together with attention and intention to have these coincidences occur. Another great question for you. You're in the camping space.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I know you are. Big space. What makes your Nomad NS-1 equal to what exists today? And then explain to me why it's different and why I should appreciate the difference.
Yeah. We got really lucky actually with COVID. I think
it's just coincidental.
Yeah. Well, it gave us an opportunity to push pause on our business too. So we were creating this before that all happened, and the camping industry kind of blew up and has gone crazy since it.
Yeah, people don't know where to go.
Yeah, well, exactly. They're like, I'm not going to a hotel. I got to get as far away as possible.
I was like, dang, now I got my camper coming.
Oh my gosh, my mom sold hers. It was like a $4,000 like little camper thing, and she sold it for 10.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't get like a return on investment on a trailer usually, right? But I guess crazier things have happened. But we were in a spot where we were designing and building, and if we hadn't had that happen and had to press pause, if we hadn't had that hurdle, we would have probably just been in production in the same way that all of the competitors are. They grow from like a DIY mindset. Somebody's willing to pay them for it, and then they do it and do it and do it again. And so that works great. And we have in our space, there's some companies that are doing some really cool stuff and trying to change that trend of like low quality, high manufacturing production volumes from the larger competitors. But for us, it was that to start. And then when we had to press pause, we're not going to sit here and waste an opportunity to grow and do something right. So we actually came back and redesigned and re-engineered and figured parts out. So the initial build would have been what you would expect from a competitor. And then with the time, rather than selling, we got it right, I think, is the piece of it, is like spent the time to go and figure out the nuts and the bolts and the little mounting locations so that there's not going to be vibration in your cabinets. It's not going to bust apart, and start to think about what system, what do you need? And then one of the pieces that was like as simple as we're sitting here, it's like when I need my toothbrush, where's that sitting? And it's able to be like, it's a small space. You have to be really intentional about all of it. So we've been able to go back and redesign. And I feel like at this point, we're much more of an automotive design rather than like a camper design, because it's been born out of like, go back, redesign it, rebuild it.
What is that? And I know there's a term for it, that specialty where it's the Japanese were known for it in a workflow type of environment. And it's like workflow design engineering where we limit the amount of movement. I forget there's a certain engineering term, if you may
like lean manufacturing, I think. Manufacturing, maybe. And there's like there's like the 5 Qs or something of it. But
when you guys do that kind of stuff, it's interesting. You know, functionality is so important. And I was, my wife has incredible like color and texture capability, and I have space and movement capability. Like I can't tell you what color to paint that, or you do flooring and all that stuff. But when it comes to where to put things and how in that movement when you're talking, that like excited me emotionally. I'm like, yeah. If I will save 2 seconds if the toothbrush is right here, right? I'm a systems person, and it adds up.
Goes a long way.
Which part of the business, since you've been from the beginning into this now distribution of an extraordinary product, the Nomad NS-1, What's your favorite part? Like for me, it was like you started saying about the functional design side of it. I'm like, ooh, I'd like to sit there and maybe have him invite me up there, and I'll show him how I can save 2 seconds here, and this could be better in its design than that. What excites you most?
Oh man, that would be a blast. So let's go do that. And
right on. We'll put some content on it too.
Yeah, seriously. Let's go talk that through. I set out, I just wanted to build this product. And I think to me, it's always like trying to find the team that come in, support it. And I want to get back to just being on that front of it all the time. It's like, what is the idea? How can we save space, or how can we redesign it? I love that. It's the best and luckiest part about being an entrepreneur is that you get to talk about what the vision is. You get to talk about why you're doing it and what the reason is behind it. And so when we talk about creating a company culture that's going to make a better life for the employees, and we talk about our customer in a way that's like, what can we do to change their experience the outdoors? That's a great joy. Just being able to share that with people and be like, this is what we've created for you and why, is a real joy.
All right, last question, and I'll let you go. If technology was no issue, and you could put any capability in a camper, and if technology was no issue, what would the capability be?
I think people need to be able to connect with the stars all the time. So I think that it would be technology is not an issue. It's like an EMP, like a switch. So we all turn off our lights and we all appreciate the stars every night. That would probably be the thing that I would like to see happen there. Is like something where it's like you're inspired. And I think through our process is like, by the time it's time to sit there and enjoy the day and reflect on it, I would really appreciate that being a piece of it. So having a starlight ceiling or a big stargazer window up on the top are things that like would be to me, and I know they're not necessarily tech, but just to be able to look up in those spots and then appreciate it all together would be the biggest goal.
Well, here on the Playbook, that's an exercise that I love to tell all entrepreneurs to do is if you're in your business, you should be asking yourself every night when you go to bed, if technology is no issue, what would I put into my company and into my product, into my solution? Because remember, it already exists, and now you can get yourself out of the way. And I guarantee next time my friend here, Thomas Hoffmann's on, we will have that capability. I guarantee it. That's the way the universe works. Founder and CEO of Colorado Campworks. Check out the Nomad NS-1. This has been a great interview. I appreciate you so much.